Hey guys, welcome to another episode of PB Garage. Just want to shoot a real quick video here. A forum member on Audizine asked about the serviceability of the oil distribution tube. So I'm just going to cover removing all the components in this crankcase here, in the valley of the crankcase, the 2.7, checking those components, what parts to replace, and then putting everything back together. So inside here we've got two oil check valves, we've got the distribution tube, and there's two banjo bolts which hold it in place. The distribution tube on the ends has two O-rings. I'll get to those in a second. Basically, the purpose of this tube is to take oil supply from the pump and bring it to the two oil squirters underneath in the crankcase of the engine. So to start, let's take out these check valves. 8mm hex bit. Anytime you're using a hex bit like this, just check that your socket is clear of any debris because you want full engagement with your tool. 14mm for the first banjo. $19mm for the next banjo. Banjos come out. One thing to note, there are no crush washers underneath these banjo heads. For the distribution tube, easiest to pull from the ends, not from the center, and it just literally comes out. You can rock it back and forth and out it comes. Those O-rings that we were talking about, you can see them here and here. I'll post the part numbers in the video. Inside the crankcase, before you start putting everything back together, just make sure everything's clean. This engine obviously I haven't started the tear down on it yet, really. So it's full of like crud that's fallen from here inside. But yeah, just check your bores, check everything. There's no dirt or debris. I think you can do this without tearing apart your engine completely. I don't see why you can't. The tube comes out easily, the check valves come out easily. You can inspect and put things back together. So when we're looking at the old parts here, I've got two sets of check valves. These ones came out of this engine, and I have them here just because they're in worse condition than the ones I just took out. If you look at the this part of the check valve here, it's full of corrosion. If you compress it, you can see there's an O-ring in here, and there's no ring on the outside. This first O-ring that I just pointed out is not serviceable without destroying the check valve. This one you can change. Best to just replace these check valves. If you're not sure, the O-rings do get dried up and very hard, so they won't be doing a great job of creating a good seal. You can get them on eBay if you're on a budget, and those are aftermarket ones, or you can get OEM ones for about 60 or 70 bucks from FCP. Highly recommend going the OEM route. That's just kind of my style. Banjos, nothing much to say about those. This one is just a plain old banjo, the smaller one. This bigger one has a check valve in it. So just make sure that it operates smoothly with a screwdriver. Just push it in and out. Okay, make sure there's no crusty oil built up in there or corrosion or anything. For your distribution tube, the only two serviceable parts on it are the O-rings, and they're on each end of the tube. My old O-rings from this engine, kind of hard to see here, but they were very brittle, so they broke like plastic parts. You can hear that crack. They're supposed to be rubber. To get them off, you just pry those out. Get new O-rings. I'll put the part number in the video. Cheap and easy to replace. I'm not going to cover replacing an O-ring. That's pretty straightforward. So once you've got your O-rings replaced, to reinstall this, and you've inspected your block and everything's clean and ready to go, you just drop it in place. So the edges are kind of sharp here on the bores where the O-rings go through. So just be careful putting this in. You don't want to nick an O-ring. It's kind of good practice for any time you're servicing O-rings and the like. Drop that in place. Larger of the two banjos, you can get that one going. Get it by hand. Smaller banjo. So once you have your banjos finger tight, you can torque them down. The Bentley calls for 15 Newton meter, but it doesn't specify which one. It just says banjo bolt. So I'm going to apply that to the one that is just purely a banjo bolt. It has a torque spec for the oil check valves, and you have the two check valves here and this banjo, which is a check valve as well, and that's 25 Newton meter. So I'm going to apply 25 to that one and the two oil check valves. I'm installing the old ones just for the purpose of this video because I've already rebuilt my other engine. Get those started. Yeah. Just a sec. Get those finger tight. They tighten up towards the bottom, but you can still do it by hand. Torque those up using your favorite torque wrench. I'm not going to show that exercise here because that's fairly straightforward. Once you've torqued everything up and you're happy with how clean everything is, grab your new seal. It only goes in one way. Like, you can try put it in the wrong way and it just won't work. So drop that in place. No sealant is called for in the manual, so it just goes in like that. Your cover drops on. The M6 bolts are torqued to 10 Newton meter. I would advise a crisscross pattern starting from the center, similar to how you torque your crankshaft. And once that's bolted down, you're all done. So I hope that video helped out. Stay tuned for the next one. See you guys.